I barfed up bubble bath.
Yeah, I was there. Thank you for the update.
We can forget about the party because guess what? We're probably getting arrested instead.
No way. I didn't put on underwear for nothing.
Mariner, thank the gods whom I worship that you're alive.
Shut up. If you don't tell me where that party is, I'm telling security I know who those disruptors belong to.
But you would get arrested too.
Yeah, and then we'd both be in the same cell. Just you and me.
All right. I'll send you the location. But you still owe me.
I owe a foot up your ass.
Ballroom Alpha? Oh, that's where all the big parties are. How is that even a secret?
Welcome, everybody, to Deep Space Pride, a gay Star Trek podcast. My name is Mike. I am one of your hosts, and with me is Johnson, my co-host. Hi, Johnson.
Mike. Hey, Mike. How are you?
I am doing better. I'm fighting whatever I have, but I'm doing all right. Every day is a little bit better. So we were supposed to record yesterday, but I had no energy. So.
It's not COVID, though. It's like something else.
It is not COVID. Although I did get another COVID test today just because. But
it's for shits and giggles.
Yes.
And you're clear.
No, it's a 24-hour test, so I'll find out tomorrow. So, but I'm sure it's not because the rapid was negative. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's a cold or actually it's more sinusy. So it's just, yeah. It's been a rough couple of weeks. So
really, it's been a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that this started about 2 weeks ago. So
I get it together.
Like, yeah.
But
you've
still been doing your marathon training, which is admirable.
Yeah, so it's weird because everything from my neck below, like where my shoulders down feels fine, but it's my head, my neck and up that has.
Wow. If only we could replace that.
Yes, right? Or yeah, exactly. So marathon training is continuing. So I hope to have this kicked before our longest run to date on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start upping the numbers next week. So yeah, but we have a plan, and so far I'm sticking to it. And we are 7.5 weeks away from doing this half marathon. So
7.5 weeks away from November.
Yes, November, but not quite November 18th when Discovery lands. But we'll be in the midst of Prodigy at that point.
Yes. October 22nd or something?
Yeah, I think somewhere
like
around
that.
There. Yeah. We haven't talked. I mean, we recorded last right before we literally went from,
right before.
We went from recording to watching the what was it? 3-4 hour long broadcast?
It was from from 8, was it 8:30?
8:30 to midnight?
To like 11:30?
Okay, yeah.
So it was like 3 hours. It was like the Oscars.
Yeah, so it definitely felt like the Oscars. Gosh,
it just didn't stop.
It did not. No, it kept on going, and but we have a lot to catch up on that. So why don't we start? Well, first of all, before we even talk about Star Trek Day, not today, but this episode is our 1-year anniversary episode of launching this podcast.
It is. Happy anniversary, Mike.
Happy anniversary, Johnson. So it's been 1 year. We've been podcasting before we actually officially launched, but
correct.
But we officially launched a year ago. Correct. On oddly enough, on our first episode went live on Friday, September 11th, 2020.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it did. So this is a little bit over a year, but so what has been a highlight of the last year for you?
Yeah, I was trying to find one specific highlight, but Mike, honestly, it's all about spending all this quality time with you. Lols. It's true. It's true. I always look forward to us chatting about Star Trek. You are one of the few friends I have that really is like a knowledgeable. And I think I even said this when we in our first recording. I have some friends that are familiar with Star Trek. They've watched like a few episodes, maybe even a couple of seasons if you're lucky. But honestly, there aren't that many friends of mine that have actually gotten so deep into the mythology where we talk about Memory Alpha all the time. Like no one does that. Like at least like none of my friends do that. Like no one will know what Memory Alpha is other than you. So honestly, it's been a great experience doing this podcast with you. And I mentioned this to you before we started recording. As everyone knows, I complain about being in back-to-back meetings all the time. I'm constantly on Zoom meetings for work. This is one of the few Zoom meetings that doesn't feel draining to me. So, it's actually fun. So,
yeah,
that is really, I think, one of the overall highlights of the past year for me.
I know what you're talking about, and I do have a separate highlight, but it was funny. I went to lunch with a friend on Sunday, and I mentioned the podcast, and he has watched Star Trek before, but when I said, oh yeah, this summer, because we hadn't seen each other in a couple of months, I said, yeah, I got to interview Doug Jones, and he was like, who's that?
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that, for the most part, my friends have a passing experience with Star Trek.
Right.
So it's definitely nice to talk with someone who has a passion for this as much as I do. So, but on top of that, I mean, there are definitely some great call out episodes that I enjoyed, like our coming out episode for Coming Out Day last year. We did First Contact Day. We did when we got a bunch of teasers, no big trailers, but just a bunch of teasers for that. And then, it actually meant a lot to me to do that solo recording for the Day of Remembrance for the Pulse nightclub. So, and just having a platform to be able to share that was great. And then also going to Las Vegas. I mean, even though it was fun. It was there were some things we wish had been better. It was still fun to go. It was still fun to go there. But I have to say that the top highlight from the past year was getting to talk to Doug Jones on my cell phone, looking out over Waikiki Beach, and unfortunately failing to be able to record it on our end. But thankfully, the wonderful people at the PR firm were able to record it. So my hope is that we'll eventually get to have a nice longer conversation with him at some point where we can see him and he can see us and we can do a really good job of interviewing him. But that was definitely the highlight because Doug Jones is, as advertised, one of the nicest guys in the world. And I do think it's endemic of the whole Star Trek Discovery cast, especially, that they are extremely fan friendly. They have been from the beginning. I just saw the news that they are going to do a panel for both Discovery and Prodigy at New York Comic-Con next month.
Oh, cool. Wait, when is New York Comic-Con?
It's over the Indigenous Peoples holiday weekend. So
okay, that doesn't really help me.
Formerly Columbus Day. So
I also don't know when Columbus Day is.
October 11th.
Okay, there we go.
So
that took a lot of work.
Sorry, I don't know the exact dates. I think it's October 8th, 7th or 8th through the 11th, or maybe just the 10th. I can't remember. But anyway, they're having those panels, and I've been to a couple of them in the past. And the cast was really, even though you didn't get a meet and greet with the cast, they're just a fun cast to see. They really do love each other. They're super friendly. And one of the panels that I saw, Michelle Yeoh jumped out of the crowd and
right,
had
yes,
glasses on, and she was like incognito, and she said, "Are you gonna bring back Captain Georgiou?" And of course, as we found out that season, they did bring her back. So, but I'm excited. You know, talking to Doug Jones was awesome and exciting. Even though it was, you know, it was just a short 15-minute conversation, but that was a lot of fun to make happen even while on vacation. So yeah, so it's been a great year, and I'm looking forward. Hopefully we can book some more interviews in the coming year. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
And meet some people. Hopefully Chicago, the Mission Chicago Star Trek convention will be exciting for us.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited. It's only 3 days.
Well, and I'm excited,
whatever.
you know, I'm excited to, you know, I think Will Wheaton, well, not think, Will Wheaton's going to be there. Anthony Rapp is going to be there. So I'm really we're going to go prepared to talk to these people this time around. So, and really try our best to get them on the show. But yeah, so
I will bring my unbridled enthusiasm to Chicago.
And hopefully we'll get some business cards or something, and feel a little bit more legitimate as podcasters, and say, this is our podcast, and hold up our business cards.
And you people, you're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
This was a big Star Trek day. This was actually live in person in California.
And where did we have it? What was the location? I feel I heard it, but I don't know.
I don't even know.
I did not recognize the venue though.
No, it was somewhere in LA, and you know that we were texting back and forth as the show was going on, and we were like, they keep on doing these long delays, and you know, at the end it seemed like my impression was that Patrick Stewart was supposed to be there, and that something, either, you know, some traffic snafu or something happened, because they went on.
Well, there was no Picard panel. It was Jerry Ryan coming up being like, "Sorry, Patrick can't be here. Here's a trailer." That was it.
Yeah, that was it. And it seemed, yeah, so
it's kind of awkward.
Yeah, it was a bit awkward. And that's sort of how it wrapped up.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to go through each of the shows and talk about our thoughts on each of the panels / trailers, but I know that we also kind of want to talk about just general thoughts. And one of my general thoughts was that it was way too long, especially when we were treated to, it was like 40 minutes with these tweens or something. I don't even know how old they are.
Right.
And I was just like, if I need to hear you read one more tweet, I will fucking murder you.
Yeah.
Like, I will stab you 2 in the face. Like, it was just like, it was too much. It was like, I appreciate the occasional sidebar, but it was just kind of annoying. They're not even like big Trek fans. Like, they kind of know like some of the shows. Like, one of them I think was a Lower Decks fan, but it was kind of like, it was like one point they were showing the Strange New Worlds trailer, and then one of them was like, "Oh yeah, that character looks." I don't remember who it was. I was like, "Oh my god, not prepared."
Yeah, they I would say they weren't.
They were talking about like Nurse Chapel, but they couldn't think of the name. It was like embarrassing. I was just like, "All right, get them off the stage." Like,
it was a little.
It was like, and you know, you and I were going back and forth, and the thing is, there's this live YouTube chat. And everyone is like, they are literally just buying time for something. It's just like they're burning time.
Yeah. And according to pictures posted during the event from backstage, I mean, Jerry Ryan was there the whole time. So it just seemed like, from my perspective, I think they were drawing it out, thinking that maybe Patrick was going to make it or could, and eventually they were like, well, we got to end this. And I mean, that 40 minutes was, you know, they reshowed the trailers that they had already shown.
That's right, they reshowed the trailers. I was like, why are we watching this again?
Right. So it was just, it was there were definitely some things, you know, I would have much rather had like Will and Mika on stage doing just one-on-one interviews with some of the casts who were there, like doing a little bit more like one-on-one, or talking with, you know, they had these breaks, you know, Sirach Lofton did a little thing on DS9, That was recorded though, I think, or he.
It was very. You know, he was on stage. It was just very scripted. It just felt like he was reading off a teleprompter or something.
Oh no, Anthony Montgomery was on stage.
Oh, I thought Sirach was also on stage.
No, Sirach was on video.
He was.
Yeah, so I don't know if he was,
I need
beamed
to rewatch the whole thing. I don't remember.
I mean, I was cooking dinner at that time, or I was eating, and so I wasn't. I was probably actually talking to Dennis while this was all going on. So
right, well.
I missed the DS9 part of it, but I will say, backing up even to the beginning, I thought Jeff Russo did a great job. It was great to hear all those themes.
Yes, I like the medley at the beginning. That was great.
That was good.
I mean, the playing of each of the intros was fine. I mean, that was like whatever.
So I really did like that they played Captain Archer's theme versus Faith of the Heart, which is generally panned as a theme song for.
It would have been interesting for them to weave it in somehow, but I understand.
I mean, Jeff Russo is a great composer, so he could have done that, but they did not. I do really like because the Captain Archer's theme is actually what they ended every episode with, is what they played over the end credits. So it's it's essentially the theme of Enterprise anyway. But
yeah.
So that Anthony Montgomery did a great job, but again, all these little vignettes were really like written by someone, and people
it was just very dry, and I was like, I wish it was a little bit less stiff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been.
Sometimes it just felt very like literally like you are reading off a teleprompter.
Yeah, they were, and absolutely, and I think it would have been better served if Mika and Will had traded on and off interviewing these people,
but the thing is, they also had like some banter that was very scripted. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like cringeworthy.
Yeah,
this is not funny.
Well, this is sort of like how everything when you see live TV, these are sort of the things that happen. Like you have a very firm script so that nobody goes off book and says something they shouldn't, i.e. usually, inappropriate language. But being that this is on Paramount Plus and not anywhere else, or maybe it was on YouTube too, but
it was on YouTube. It was live stream on YouTube, I think, and also Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
But there are no censors for those platforms really, so I don't, the scripted nature of it was a little bit overkill in my opinion. But because
at least it was live. It wasn't
vamp.
All just like pre-recorded and edited, which I think would be even worse.
Yes, I agree.
More
stiff, last year's was very was even more scripted to the point where it was edited to almost a boring level, to be honest. But but anyway, so let's get into. So I think what do we start out with? I think they went right into Prodigy, right?
Yeah.
Prodigy was the first one. We got to see we got to meet some of the cast. We got to meet some of the I think the creators of the show, and maybe one of the directors.
He was like a total dilf. I was just like, he's kind of hot.
Yeah, the internet agreed with you. He was very very dilfy, in fact.
I was like, but whatever.
Yes. So Prodigy, we got to see the full trailer, thanks to Kate Mulgrew beaming in on video as well, introducing it. So what did you think of the Prodigy trailer?
Yeah, no, I thought the Prodigy trailer looked great. It hit a lot of great beats. It was great to see holographic Janeway. It was great to see some of the action and the character interactions. I actually am looking forward to Prodigy. The more I see Prodigy, the more I'm looking forward to it. It just looks like it's really well done, really high production values. A lot of people are saying how it's Star Trek's version of like Clone Wars or whatever.
Yes.
And I think that, I would hope that they are able to garner the younger audience, which is the whole point here. But I feel there's enough there for us older fans to also enjoy. I mean, I'm liking all the trailers and first looks, so I'm definitely going to watch it,
Yeah, I think I don't necessarily think it's Clone Wars-esque, because Clone Wars was really serious. I would say that this is more Star Wars Rebels.
Okay, I've never seen Rebels.
You know, okay. Rebels is a little bit more kid friendly.
Okay.
It's you know, my
Clone
opinion.
I
love
Clone was kind of kid friendly. You don't think so?
Clone Wars. I thought was much more serious.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Rebels did get more serious as time went on, but it was always from Ezra Bridger's perspective, and so it kind of brought the kids into it, whereas Clone Wars was always about Anakin and Obi-Wan and the clones. So, but you know, the analogy is true. They are hoping that this is sort of the big one that brings in the next generation of viewers. But I would agree. Like the animation is beautiful,
really great. Yeah,
really beautiful. I do love the theme. I obviously Michael Giacchino.
I say
Giacono.
I don't know.
Yes. Yes. I couldn't remember the pronunciation. But his score is excellent. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see the because it looks like, again, I'm wondering if they're gonna do what they did with Discovery, which is they released the opening theme for Discovery without all of the words on it, and I'm wondering if this is how it's going to be final, or if it's going to be.
Oh, you mean the opening sequence?
Yeah, the opening sequence. Whether they're going to have the names of the people who are playing them. But anyway, but the trailer was excellent, definitely intriguing, and I think that.
Did you see there was like a quick flash of a Kazon? I was like, great, my favorite species.
I hate Kazon.
I hate the Kazon. I hate Kazon. Don't even get me started.
Yeah.
But we're definitely in the Delta Quadrant.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. So,
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't be, you know, out of place, I guess.
And the Protostar looks great. There are some rumors flying around when it comes to why it's basically in a cave. And some people are thinking that it does have some cloaking, phasing technology, maybe very similar to the Pegasus, but maybe more refined, that got it stuck there. So I'm interested to see definitely the whole mythology of why we have the Protostar and Delta Quadrant, how it got stranded there, and what the deal with that is. So
yeah, I'm wondering if it's not if it wasn't just thinking about this is totally just came to me. I'm wondering if it's wasn't a rescue vessel for Voyager. I wonder if that's what it was. And
no, is this when is supposed to take place? Do you know, Prodigy?
No, I don't know the exact year. No.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So,
well, the thing is, if you have like holographic Captain Janeway, you know, I would imagine that was a monument to her only after she came back from the Delta Quadrant. Like, why would they create why would anyone? I'm sorry, but getting stranded in the Delta Quadrant, why would anyone decide to make Janeway the like emergency training program? You know, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, we'll find out on October 22nd, but that looks exciting, and the cast was, you know, they were happy to be there. They're excited about the show, and
the director's hot.
And the director's hot. The creators definitely have enjoyed this process working with the crew, with the cast, especially Janeway. I mean, just the back and forth with creating these characters, especially Janeway. Seemed very collaborative. So so there's Prodigy, and that's coming up next. So
very soon.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there's going to be a week gap between
I think so. I think
Lower Decks and because we've only got 5 episodes left of Lower Decks.
Yeah, I think there is a week gap actually.
Unless there's some surprise and we get an 11th episode or something, but
no, dubious. I'm fine with a week gap. That's fine.
Yeah. So
it's just odd because we're gonna have a week gap and then Prodigy is gonna overlap Discovery. So I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, it's the scheduling is definitely interesting this year. They're not promoting 23 weeks like they did last year of uninterrupted Star Trek. So, and it's sort of, you know, I still go back to what Alex Kurtzman said he wanted Star Trek on 52 weeks a year, you know. So It's kind of an odd thing, but maybe
Wait, but Mike, what are we gonna do? There's gonna be like 4 weeks where we have 2 episodes of Star Trek to talk about. That's gonna be a lot.
mean, that is gonna be a lot. I mean, that's why we're here doing this, because we love to talk about Star Trek. So,
well, 2 episodes is gonna be a lot to talk about.
Absolutely.
You already can't shut us up, and we're just talking.
Yeah, and we just talked about one of 5 shows that we're about to talk about for Star Trek Day.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Strange New Worlds. You had a lot of thoughts and opinions about this panel, about the panel aspect of it.
Oh,
and just how awkward it was,
the
right?
panel was awkward. I just felt that it was very stiff because I think you're right, because Miko would ask a question and then there would just be a long pause, and then it's like who's gonna talk and what are they gonna say? I feel like they were kind of like trying to figure it out. And I think you're right. Maybe it is that they were just not sure what to say or what to spill.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it just felt the pacing of it was very poor. Like I was just like, this feels very awkward. The announcement trailer, we didn't get a real trailer, but we got basically a character introduction trailer, was great. I was like, oh my God, I'm very excited.
Yeah, I am too. Some great throwbacks. Obviously, we have the big 3. Number 1, Una.
But it's a big cast. It's like 9 characters.
Yeah.
It's like a really large cast.
Yeah, we've got Anson as Pike. We've got Rebecca Romaine as number
Una?
1. As what?
Una. She has a name now.
Yeah, she's Una, yeah.
Yeah.
So, which was in the novels.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, they did I want to say maybe it was 5 years ago, maybe not, but for the 50th anniversary, they did this 3-book series called Legacies or something like that.
Oh.
And her name was in there. And so I think that's the first time that they had given her a name. She had a primary role, I think, if I'm recalling it correctly, in the first of those books.
Oh, interesting.
And maybe it wasn't the 50th anniversary. I can't remember. I think it was, though. But
now it's official.
But now it's official. But it was also in so her name was on screen in on one of the pads.
Oh, really?
Either in Discovery or in the short treks. I forget where. So it was on there. So it was already kind of canonized. But yes, we've got Rebecca Romaine as Una, and then we have obviously Ethan Peck as Spock. But then we meet the rest of the cast, which is really exciting.
Yeah. I was very surprised. I did not expect to see a Cadet Uhura or... No,
that was probably the most exciting.
I was like,
what?
That.
Yeah.
Very
what an honor to put that into the show. I think that, and the creators of, or the directors or showrunners, I don't know what their title is, but we're like very excited to kind of talk about they didn't say much really, but they were excited to be able to throw a lot of these little tidbits in,
right?
Including Cadet Uhura, but also Nurse Chapel, Dr. Mabenga, and it was funny. The one thing that was funny was that Rebecca said when she's in a scene with Christine, she does not the universe does not explode.
Yeah. So funny.
Since they were both played by Majel.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate that they're dipping into these characters that honestly, even though Uhura was a major character, we didn't really get that much of her backstory. Like we know actually very little about her.
Yeah.
So I think that character is really ripe for exploration. Yep. And I'm totally fine with them making her like a cadet on the Enterprise, even though it's supposed to be like 8-9 years before the TOS era. I think that's fine. I'm okay with it. Some people are like, does that timing work? I'm like, it's fine. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm not really going to play in my head with that kind of stuff and worry about that too much. But I'm excited for that. Seeing Dr. Mabenga and Christine Chapel is great. You got some looks at the new uniforms.
Which definitely look kind of like more relaxed.
Yeah,
look a little bit looser.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And there's a couple that there looks like they have a couple of different styles. So which is great. We meet a new Laan Noonien Singh.
Yes.
Which
will be very interesting.
Yes. That is, and this is, I'm going to say this, that was a mind fuck. And I do not understand that, or like out of everything that made the least amount of sense to me. So there's that. And then, they have a blind actor playing a blind Anar.
An Anar, which I love, the Enterprise throwback.
Yep, that was great. And then we have
Hemmer. That's the character. Hemmer,
yes. Yeah. And we meet someone else, a lieutenant.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Erica Ortiz or something like that, I want to say.
I did not take notes.
Again, don't know too much about her either. So not a lot of information. We meet the cast, but we don't really know, outside of Christine Chappell and Dr. Mbenga, what people are doing. So
honestly, this character reveal was probably my favorite. Like, out of all the trailers or first looks or whatever we got, this gave me the most excitement because it looked great. I mean, even though it wasn't a full trailer, the characters look great. I love the new characters who were introduced to. I feel that there's a lot of potential. Yeah. And I'm very excited for Strange New Worlds. It's not going to premiere, though, until some random date in 2022. So they still aren't giving us something more solid.
Yeah, it's pretty far away. So for that's a long time to be excited and wait.
I mean, we don't even have a trailer. So they must be... But didn't they finish filming?
Oh yeah, they finished months ago. So that's what I'm not really understanding. I don't know what the thought process is here. So
I would have hoped for at least a trailer, but it's fine. Yeah, I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, I am too. I think that is you're right. That's the one I'm most excited about, but it's also the one we have the longest wait for. So. Correct. So then we had some Lower Decks, a Lower Decks panel, and they're always funny and hilarious. And I told you this while we were watching it. I've got a little bit of a crush on Rutherford's voice actor, Eugene Cordero.
Why is that? I think it's fine.
I don't know. He's just he actually, his voice, he just embodies Rutherford's so well, and it's just, I don't know, it was great. He's also really enthusiastic and just has a great energy. So obviously Jerry O'Connell
rolled onto the stage. That was funny.
Yes.
And then I kind of felt bad because Mika didn't really have many questions prepared for him, because obviously it was kind of last minute. He wasn't totally part of the panel.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, he's kind of there, but they're not really asking him questions. So
yeah, I think if CBS if Paramount Plus is listening to us, I think that maybe a little more flexibility on questions and a little more
preparation. Why didn't they invite him to the panel? I don't understand. He's a regular character.
Yeah, I don't know. And especially since Rebecca Romaine was there, why wouldn't they expect Jerry O'Connell to be there as well? So must have been a last minute ad. Maybe he couldn't come and then he could come at the last minute. So
maybe. Who knows?
Again, going back to this whole thing about it being slightly too staged to some extent with the questions and everything, and then so staged that they went into that 40-minute hellhole.
Oh my God.
Back on the red carpet. But anyway,
the worst 40 minutes I'll never get back.
Yes, that is true. But we get to see a mid-season trailer for Lower Decks.
A lot going on.
There is a lot going on. Too much to even think about right now, other than you get to see a Borg. Yeah. So there's some Borg action, and
I think you get a crystalline entity as well.
Oh, really? Oh,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch it. There's a lot. There's a lot in it.
There was a lot in it. And we'll get a new episode tomorrow anyway, so that'll be
episode 6. We're more than halfway.
6. Yeah, we are more than halfway.
Yeah.
Sadly, and we are going to talk about episode 5 in a little bit. So
eventually.
So that was Lower Decks. They're funny. They are
Yeah, they're much more like compared to Stranger Worlds. They were definitely much more loose,
relaxed.
very comfortable.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it also helps that I think it's a funny show. It's other shows are so serious. Like every other show is like very, very serious. And
Yep.
Lower Decks, they can just joke around and poke fun at each other.
Yep. No, it's definitely, next to the Discovery cast, I would say that the Lower Decks cast is by far the closest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, and Tani and Jack did join via video. It's funny because I knew that Tani wasn't going to be there because I follow her on Instagram and she was off gallivanting in some foreign country doing some trips. So,
Okay.
and I think Jack was finishing up The Boys season 3. So,
Oh, I still haven't watched all season 2.
I have not watched season 2 either. I think it was too real when it came out. It was just too real.
Oh, too real. It's too triggering.
Too triggering for the middle of the pandemic. I don't know that it's any better now, but so I knew that they wouldn't be there, but yeah, Eugene was there. So it was just they're a fun and funny cast, and they really just enjoy each other. I think in the same way that the Discovery cast does as well. So, well, then we move into Discovery, and we had our fam there. Our 3.
Yeah, it was all about chosen family.
Chosen family, yes.
Yeah.
And so Wilson, Blue, and Ian were there together. It's funny. I don't remember a lot about this part of the panel, and I don't know why. Maybe
I don't remember much about it either. I'll be honest, I kind of tuned out at that point.
I mean,
I was like,
the
problem is by that point I was like, this needs to wrap up. Like it was really dragging at this point.
It was.
And I was starting to multitask and do other things around the house. Yeah. Because I was just like, when is this ending?
Yeah. I agree. I was probably multitasking or, whatever. It was just definitely by that point,
it was good to see them. It was good to see
they
them.
Looked great.
Michelle Paradise was also on stage, right?
Michelle, yes, she was. Yeah. And Chosen Family is definitely a theme for Discovery and certainly for the 3 of them.
I think another reason why I don't remember much about it is because I don't think they didn't really reveal anything. We didn't get like a new trailer. Right? We didn't get anything. I don't think
maybe that's why we were kind of there
was no new trailer.
Yeah.
I think they tread a lot of old ground. They talk about how they're going to have Gray become visible again or something like that.
Right.
But we've heard that before. So I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, I think that's, it was great to have them there. Unfortunately, yes, I don't think they dropped a lot of hints about things.
Right.
I do want to say, and that something happened in the audience. Someone made a derogatory word.
Right, yeah. I heard about that. I didn't hear it during the broadcast, but I don't think
it made the broadcast because it's someone yelling it from the audience. But I was really shocked by that. I was surprised, and Wilson,
especially this audience. I'm like, that's really odd.
Yeah. Wilson played it off. So I saw it through social media, mainly on Wilson's Instagram. I think he had posted something. Because his smile, he was still smiling though. Like he didn't lose a beat. He's such a professional. He just kept on going. But I can't imagine, that's hard to imagine. That's really hard to believe that something like that wouldn't happen. And
yeah, it's like, it's in LA. It's a Star Trek event. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously it was very selective. Like, only like 200 people went because they were trying to meet COVID restrictions. So it wasn't like they were just inviting people off the street. So that is very surprising to me.
Yeah, it is.
Happen in this particular venue.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand it either. And hopefully that person was discovered who it was and was never invited back again.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's really unfortunate that that happened during that
Definitely
panel.
suboptimal.
Yeah, but I also think it's just a reminder for everyone out there why we have a gay Star Trek podcast, ours. Why we continue to have gay pride. These are the reasons, because there is still ignorance and hate out there,
right?
And
sure.
until we realize that our humanity is what brings us together and not what keeps us apart, a la Star Trek, you know, it's there's still work to be done. So
yeah, definitely. It's just
I think
really surprising it happened there.
Yeah, I agree. You know, and I think this, you know, since we don't both remember this panel too well, other than our, you know, it's probably worth a watch. But honestly, I've been too busy and whatnot. But you know, I think it's hard when you're in production. I mean, they had just wrapped production, and you know, I know Doug Jones had just gotten home, was probably still quarantining with his family, and you know, so it was just the three of them. I know Anthony was Anthony Rapp was back here in New York doing something. So you know, only the three of them could really make it. But
right.
I think it's hard to do a panel when your show isn't out and you don't want to spoil anything. But no, they must have shown something, because we got the date of November 18th.
I think that was it. I think they just mentioned the date. I don't think we saw. I really don't recall seeing anything.
Yeah. It seems a blur at this point. And then I think it was after that panel, right? We went into the 40-minute black hole of hell.
No. After this panel was the Roddenberry panel.
Oh, right, with Space Mom and Space Son, which is always nice to see.
Yeah, no, the 40-minute red carpet thing. That I think that was before like Lower Decks or something. It was like kind of in the middle.
Oh, I feel like it was more towards the end, but again.
Well, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. So there was the Roddenberry panel on the 100th anniversary of Gene Roddenberry's birth, right?
Which was nice, but at this point, I was really, really over the whole event. So I was like, oh my God, why are they like dragging this out? And why have we not seen Picard yet? Like, this is really when I just wanted it to be over.
Yep. No, we were all waiting for Picard, and then
because by this time it was like 11 something East Coast. Like, I was just like, my God.
Yep. Yeah, and then at the, you know, see, I feel like what happened, I think we had that, then we had the 40-minute carpet thing, and then they came back with Jerry Ryan.
I'm like 90% positive that the red carpet happened sooner, because by the end of the Roddenberry panel, Will Wheaton was like, oh, we're running out of time. I was like, okay. And then they rushed Jerry Ryan on.
Okay. All right. Well,
whatever. We can rewatch the whole thing and we can.
Gosh, no. I didn't. Yeah. We did not. We did not. Anyway, that part was painful. We came to the end of the show, and it was just inviting Jerry Ryan, the only member of Picard, to be there. And
like, she literally came on stage for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, not even, and introduced the trailer that we got for season 2 of Picard. I just watched it again right before we started recording, and
you know what, why don't you go first? Why don't you tell me what your thoughts were on this trailer? Because I've already given you my thought. I was very
you had a lot of notes, and I
had a lot of notes.
You had a lot of notes, and you were.
I didn't really hear much about your thoughts, so I'm interested to hear what you thought about the trailer.
Yeah, after watching it again, you know, I watched it. We watched it at the same time on the live stream. You were then proliferate in your thoughts on that.
I was vocal.
I don't even think I had time to process it.
You didn't say anything. You didn't even respond.
No, I didn't. Comments. I didn't know what to think. One, it was the end of the night, and I was exhausted.
I understand.
I was literally in bed on my iPad.
I'm only hearing
excuses,
this. But fine.
Yes.
Continue.
Anyway, I was tired, but after watching this again, and since then I've heard other people's opinions on this and whatnot. I'm a little I'm a little surprised by the tactic on this, and twofold. One, obviously bringing Q
Surprise
into it
is an interesting word, but continue.
Well, I mean, bringing Q into it, I was thinking, yes, when he's been before, he causes chaos, and that's fine, but it's usually more of a more fun, but like a little less serious. And this got really dark and serious really fast. You see a building exploding in the trailer. You see this
The card is a little bit darker, though.
It is, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I was kind of, I guess let me back up. I guess at the end of season 1, my hope was, okay, we have a new crew, we have some adventures. There's a whole 2399/2400 universe to explore.
Right.
Great. Here we go. What kind of trouble are we going to get into? Because 1, we know the Romulans are out there. 2, we know that the rest of the Enterprise crew is out there. 3, Picard has a whole new body. So let's just explore 2400 in the Star Trek universe. But no, we're going to go back to Earth. We're going to reset time. We're going to go to 2020 or 2021 or whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to drive in a car and do some action in the streets of LA. We're going to see this totalitarian regime, and of which Picard seems to be the leader of.
Right.
We do get the fact that his entire crew is aware of the changes, which is another interesting / weird / I don't know. Well, all except Daj / Soji. She doesn't seem to be part of the remembrances. I don't know. She didn't seem.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
it's hard to say.
I'm
not really thrilled about the totalitarian. So the two things I'm really not thrilled about are the totalitarian world that is now existent because of Q's snap, and 2, going back to the 21st century, a la present day us, and having to do anything. Now, my only hope, and as watching this as much as for only the second time, only moments ago, I would say that my hope is that we have seen parts of half of the season, or that these little side quests, as you like to call them, this side quest in the 21st century, I hope to God it's just for an episode. I hope this totalitarian thing is just for an episode or 2, or first half, so I'm hoping that it's tempered. I imagine most of the trailers that we see from any show are going to show us what happens earlier in the season because it's further along in production anyway. But also, they're not going to tease how the season ends, and they're going to wait for a mid-season trailer to tease it. So, I don't even know who's writing this season. Michael Chabon is not. Who, for good or bad, has a deep respect for Next Generation and for Picard. So I have no idea who wrote this, or who is the lead writer. So there's that. I'm a little concerned about this season, but I'm hoping that it's really what we saw is just half the season, and we kind of get a mid-season reset to kind of get back into the year 2400, and see some other people. Hopefully, hope another Enterprise guest would be great. Not Enterprise the show, but obviously from the Enterprise E or F, whatever is existent now.
Who knows?
So yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I'm hoping that it's better than what we saw. And for our listeners, now that was a positive aspect of the review. Now you get to hear Johnson's rant on every negative thing about this, which after watching this is rightfully, I think is justified. But The stage is yours.
I hated this trailer. I was so disappointed. I was very vocal to you about it. I was just like, where to begin? This time travel back to like modern day shit, I'm so fucking over it. We did it for Star Trek 4, we did it for Future's End, Voyager, we've done it even in Enterprise. There was a season 3 like Zindi episode where they came back to like present time or something like that. We've overdone it. And it's like, I do not need a whole season with 21st century antics, them trying to figure out how to drive a car, fish out of water. I don't need that. Like, we've done it so much. It's just like, my God. I really don't. I'm hoping you're right that it's just like, and they can only go back and fix things. Apparently, you have a 3-day limit. So I'm like, okay, maybe the max is like 3 episodes that they're in the 21st century, because I do not need them to stay there for the whole season at all. That was extremely disappointing to me, because it's been so overdone. Like, if it's like, and the problem is it's serialized, right? So if it was like 1 episode out of 10, all right, fine. But we make a full season of them in 2020. I don't need that, So, and it always, this thing annoys me. I know it's like we're so like off track when it comes to continuity, but like at this point, it's post-eugenic wars. It's leading up to World War III. There obviously is World War III, because we saw the results of that in First Contact. So the continuity is there somewhere. World War III started like around like, I don't know, like 2020. 2020, I don't know, 2030 or something like that. So, if they were trying to stick to that timeline, which they've established in First Contact has happened, and we're pretending the Future's End when they went back to 1996 didn't happen, I don't even know. It's such a mess. Like, I'm like, whatever.
You also had thoughts on the method of time travel.
I'm definitely not done.
I know. The Borg Queen.
I cannot. Okay, so the thing is, Annie Wersching, who is going to be the Borg Queen, is actually a great actress. She was in like 1 episode of 24. I loved her. I thought she was great. And she's been on a few other things. I was extremely disappointed with how they are utilizing the Borg Queen, which basically it looks like a Borg Queen that they've captured and it's in cold storage, and they're basically just using the Borg Queen as a method of time travel. I'm like, okay, there are like 500 ways for you to go back in time at this point. Why use a Borg Queen? And for me, it's like the same thing that happened in season 1. They use this like Star Trek classic villain that they basically neuter and make powerless. Like, and we already get that in Voyager. Like, I think we overuse the Borg in Voyager, and I feel that the Borg became less and less scary over time. And season 1 of Picard totally just tried to capitalize on the Borg and sell the Borg in the trailers. And then it was like not even a thing. It was not really critical to the story. Like, we got like some stuff out of the artifact and things like that. Obviously, Soji was there. We see Hugh, but Hugh's kind of like a non-starter. His story didn't go anywhere. Like, there's so many, I do not need to reiterate all my issues with season 1. But now we get the Borg Queen, and you make a big deal of a press release. Oh, we cast a new Borg Queen. And she's basically there to essentially operate as a time travel machine, at least based on what we saw in the trailer. And I'm like, okay, great. Another way to make a classic villain feel less powerful and basically shit on the mythology that we've created with the Borg over the last like 25 years. So I was just like, I had serious issues with that. And I'm just like, really? Do we really need to bust out the Borg Queen just for this purpose? I'm hoping that there's more to the Borg Queen, and it's not just like, let's use her for time travel. But that was extremely, extremely disappointing. You're like on mute because I'm just like going off, but it's fine. And then finally,
no, I'm agreeing with you, and I've heard all of this from you before, but it is, after watching it a second time, I too am disappointed in some of the lack of creativity around some of this, and like I said, I still think well, we'll talk about it in a minute.
I'm hoping that there's more to the season. I'm hoping we see more of Q's grand plan. Maybe there's more to just him like shitting on history and making things hard for Picard. That's what they keep on saying. They keep on saying like, oh, Q is different now. He does, he's like, he's always there to kind of like teach a bigger lesson, or like, because Q was like never like super nefarious. It's not like a villain in the classic sense where he's there to like make everyone stay feel terrible. Like he's always there. There's always some sort of redeeming quality to Q that I really like. Whenever he kind of shows up, there's always I almost feel there's always something. So I'm sure there's like something here that will be redemptive in what Q is doing, and hope it's interesting and original. And not
I'm hoping that it's not putting Picard back into his original body.
I hope not. That'd be dumb.
But that's also, I've seen that out on the internet as well. Maybe the end game of this is to give Picard his body back, and I'm like, I don't think that isn't necessary. We don't need to.
Was it even necessary to put him in a golem in the first place? I question that choice, but whatever. And then, yeah, to your point, the whole totalitarian fascist alt timeline, which is very like just man in the high castle. I'm like, oh my God, another thing that's like so overdone. I don't know.
Also just a little too real. I get that Star Trek has pulled from current events to inform episodes or to inform a theme or something along that lines. But you know what? I think that the producers and the writers need to understand is that yes, there is that well for you to go to, but do any of us in 2021 really want to go back to that well and relive that?
Sure.
To experience what, a lesson? Are you going to teach us a lesson like the original Star Trek series tried to do through allegory and things like that? I don't think that that's really how this show or a lot of the executive producers on these shows are running these shows. They're not trying to teach a lesson like the original series did, and Gene Roddenberry's vision was to teach lessons through these allegories. So I don't think that you need to dip into the well of recent events. Like no one wants to relive January 6th, 2021. No one. We are subjected to, if you pay attention to the news, we're subjected to this crap all the time. And Star Trek is two things. It's an escape, and it's also an outlet for a hope for a better future. And to see them dip back into the well of, well, here's a dark future that the characters need to fix. I'm like, no, like I really feel like that's again, this is a huge missed opportunity. You have an opportunity to turn this whole thing around and say, let's explore 2400, where the world and the universe is a mess, but how can we clean it up? How can we help clean it up? What can we do? Starfleet's in a mess. The Romulans are back. There's all kinds of things that you can do in the moment that you're setting this show to explore and to give us sort of that Star Trek happiness, that Star Trek future that is better than today.
I mean, I can see how they might be trying to do something different with Picard, because I feel that we're getting that on Discovery, where you have this crew coming in and the Federation's a mess and they're trying to like fix things. So maybe they didn't want to, I mean, obviously it's like 600 years apart, but maybe they didn't want to kind of dip into that well of them kind of just exploring the universe and trying to like fix things. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point. I understand that. I guess I just wish that the use of current events as plot lines or plot development techniques is not really something that.
Well, I think the whole dystopian apocalyptic thing has been very much overdone in the last.
I agree.
Years. It's in like we get it like everywhere. So whether it's like, yeah, The Boys that we just talked about, or The Hunger Games, or I mean, like, name it, you know, there's like some sort of like post-apocalyptic vision of what the world is like.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I just didn't feel that it was unique, you know. I feel that, like, again, you capitalize on all this, like, the goodwill of the fans, and then you kind of like try to bring all these fan favorite elements together, and then I don't know, it was just like, it didn't really, obviously I was disappointed. You know.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was that interesting.
So I guess the bottom line is that we hope for better. We hope that some of this stuff will be minimized, and that there'll be some more creativity applied, and that at least this won't take up the entire second season of Picard, in the way that we do know that the show is serialized, but
right,
you know, hopefully this is, you know, something that's correctable in the first half of the season, and we can kind of do something different in the second half.
Yeah, we'll see.
But we'll see. And
maybe I will be pleasantly surprised, but I'm not going to hold my breath right now.
Yeah. So, and they said February 2022, but interestingly enough, I think that the app.
Oh yeah, you saw a specific date on your Paramount Plus app, right?
On and I think it's gone now because I actually clicked on it to watch the trailer, but I think it's February 22nd, 2022 that the premiere date of Picard season 2 is. So there we go. And interestingly enough, I think that puts us almost to the finale of Picard season 2 at Mission Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
That's roughly well, it's somewhere towards the end of the season anyway. So but there we go. That was quite a long chat about Star Trek Day.
There was a lot to talk about.
There was a lot to talk about.
5 shows, you know. And
we didn't even talk about it, and I'm just going to throw it in here towards the end. You know, when Will did this pre-recorded interview with Alex Kurtzman, he did drop some interesting tidbits about a potential Starfleet Academy TV show.
Right. But Section 31 is nowhere to be found.
No Section 31, no.
Yeah.
Nope, it is not. So we'll have to wait and see. You know, Alex Kurtzman does keep things close to his vest and does not share a lot, but I thought it was interesting that they sort of teased or talked around this whole idea of Starfleet Academy. And it too is also very scripted, that interview with
oh my god
Will and Alex, but
and it kept on going. It was never ending. It was a very long interview. I was like, I don't need this in my life, but it's fine.
So there we go. Well, there's Star Trek Day 2021, the first live event of Star Trek Day, and so hopefully Paramount Plus is listening to this episode, has all of our notes.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So that Star Trek Day 2022 will be much, much tighter and much looser in some senses.
It could have been like 2 hours. Like, it didn't have to be like over 3 hours.
It could, and there could have been a lot more fun and less staginess of it.
Yeah.
But you know, anyway, it is what we have, and we did get some nice trailers and other tidbits. So
yeah, no, totally, we got some. Good
there
stuff
we go. So, wow, we've talked a lot about Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. And there's more.
There's more to talk about. Yes. So let's get into we're going to talk about season 2, episode 5 of Lower Decks. Embarrassment of Dooplers.
This worked out pretty well. Everyone I actually like to socialize with is here.
Yeah, turns out this is the best party in the quadrant, right? Number 1?
Right. Hey!
No, too late. You're my number 1 now.
It doesn't work like that.
Yes, it does. I watched it happen.
No, Captain, don't do that. I want to redo.
No, you're my sidekick from now on.
I am not.
Boimler's my number 1. Now he has to grow a beard.
Great. So, yeah, Mike, what did you think about this episode?
I actually also just rewatched this as well because I think.
Oh my god!
I only watched this once. I like to have things fresh when I like to talk about them. I have to say, I mean, first of all, this for me was probably the best episode of this season so far.
Oh, really? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and it really comes down to the Boimler-Mariner dynamic.
Okay.
I think that is the heart of this show. Although Tendi and Rutherford are also a main part of this, but and certainly important in the whole scheme of things. But when it comes right down to it, it's Mariner and Boimler, and I think that the whole them etching their names into the bar, just like Kirk and Spock,
apparently,
was a nice touch. But I think that was the better part of this episode. Obviously, everyone is talking about Richard Kind's Doopler voice, which is very recognizable, very appropriate, was very well done. So a couple of things I noticed about this episode. One, there was no cold open.
Oh yeah, that's right. It went straight into the opening.
Went straight into the opening credits. So very next. Well, I mean, it always has a next gen feel to it, but it got right into like the ship shot and the title of the show. I felt like I was watching a next gen episode there.
What? Next gen? We always have a teaser.
No, I know. Yeah. Well, but that opening shot of the ship and the name of the episode just struck me. I don't know why. I think it struck me because it was the first part of the episode. It wasn't like we didn't have the cold open. So anyway,
got it.
I just really enjoyed the Boimler-Mariner aspect of this episode. And I think we finally reached the reset point with everyone, right?
Yeah, more or less.
We've sort of gotten over Boimler and Mariner got over their thing, and they yelled at each other and worked it out, and now we're back there, and then then Tendi and Rutherford worked out the whole fact that he's been missing a year and how hard that is to happen. Sure, which is understandable. So, and also building this model of the Cerritos. Super excited about the Deep Space Nine model at the end, though. That was awesome. Nice little.
I was like, I'll build a DS9 model.
Yeah. Cool. So, I mean, those are some of my early thoughts. What did you think about this episode overall?
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. I liked that they kind of fleshed out the conflict that has kind of been simmering at the bottom of, or rather the backdrop of the story between Mariner and Boimler. And I'm actually kind of surprised that it took this long to address it, because I feel we've had a few opportunities to do that, but they waited until like episode 5 to address it. And I'm kind of glad we kind of just got it out of the way, because obviously in episode 1, episode 2, we saw that Mariner was kind of spiteful with how Boimler resigned and went to the Titans. So I'm glad we finally got that in terms of the reconciliation between them. And I do think that at this point, we get it in terms of Mariner's issues. I feel this is the third time that we've specifically talked about Mariner's kind of like fear of abandonment issues. Like, it's like, I get it. I understand. Like, it's literally the third time. Like, it's literally the third time we've had this conversation this season in the last, I think, 3 episodes. So, like, between the conversation between her and Tendi, the conversation between her, Rutherford, and Boimler in the last episode, and then this episode, I'm like, okay, I understand. We've gone back to that well. So hopefully we can move on. And then as for Tendi and Rutherford, I'm also surprised that, like, I do think that we got a little bit of this in episode 1 when Tendi was kind of freaking out that Rutherford was liking pears or whatever, and he was kind of like, he was gaining his memories back, or kind of, reintegrating back into his social circle. And I feel that has been a non-issue up until now. Like, I feel like we touched on it in episode 1, and then it was kind of like, whatever. And now we revisit it. And I thought that was effective. I felt that it took a while for us to have this conversation. Whereas I feel that we could have explored it more early in the season, and it could have had more implications, because I don't really think that at the end of the day, it was that much of a handicap for Rutherford to have basically lost a year of his memory. Like yes, there were a few things that were inconvenient. He started to date the troll that he didn't like, apparently, like, things like that were whatever silly, but I just didn't really think that they could have explored that as much as they should have, particularly when they made a big deal out of it in the finale, so but I'm glad we kind of explored that a little bit. We kind of fleshed it out, and hopefully we can now move on, in both of those relationships.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it has played out, hopefully. And the other thing too, I just thought of this, but Mike McMahon had already started writing this season well before all of season 1 had aired. So some of the feedback and maybe didn't make it his way into this season as much as could have. And also I think that because he is such a prolific writer, and probably the whole crew that's creating this show is a little bit more able to produce this quicker than any of the other shows. I think that maybe this season was a little bit rushed in coming to production and to being aired. Yeah, I think I still love season 1, and to say that we're halfway through the season and this is my favorite episode of the season so far says a lot.
I really like the Paris episode. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I would say that's
probably my favorite, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Personally. Yeah. I thought this episode was also great. I'm glad that we got like some of the reconciliation and resolutions between the characters and the party at Space Dock or whatever.
Yeah, that was Luna class and above only.
Yeah.
I heard some people say that seems a little inauthentic for Starfleet in the 25th century.
A bit elitist, but we got to see Captain Shelby.
Yeah, and her first officer is. Thank you, Aaron Harvey, for the information.
I don't remember.
Her first officer is the drawing of the original Saru.
Interesting.
So how they first envisioned Saru before Discovery. So that was kind of interesting. And also one other piece that I think Dayton Ward or David Mack said, the space station is a Vanguard class space station, which is part of the book series.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah. So there was that.
Nerds.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Still great. Still great. Oh yeah. The other thing, the car chase scene, well, I thought was way over the top and perhaps a little bit long. But the first part of it that I really enjoyed was them driving through the casino, which was obviously a Quark's takeaway, or maybe even it was Quark's. I don't even know. It was Quark's. Then it went to the barbershop, so we saw Mott's barbering everyone, and then we saw a fine men's clothing store a la Garrick.
Yeah.
A lot of nice little things there. We saw what people are saying is Alex Kurtzman in a in a Captain Pike wheelchair.
I know it's the Captain Pike wheelchair, but that was supposed to be Alex Kurtzman.
No, I don't know if it was or was not, but there's some of that. We saw Gorn. We saw Gorn. I don't know if Gorn is the name of of the character or the species or both. I can't remember, but no, Morn, not Gorn. Sorry,
Morn.
I was Morn in the crowd running out of the way. And also the fish people were from TNG's.
Yeah, the Roxana episode. I don't remember the name of it.
So all these nice little touches, but I did think that
and then the birds, that's from
birds,
the animated series, which I've never seen, so I don't. I knew
awesome.
It must have been some sort of reference. I just didn't get it.
Yeah, and definitely some discussion about which of the 2 bird species that were in the animated series it was.
Oh my god, I can't.
Yeah. So I
and the data bubble baths.
The data bubble baths. I mean, really. It was just and also it's Becky Mariner, and one of my favorite lines out of this whole thing was Boimler saying, "Of course you did," when she says, "Yeah, I used to live here."
Yeah, she's been like stationed on every station, every ship, essentially.
Yes.
She's had like 9 postings, and how old is she supposed to be? Whatever.
Yeah, we don't know, but she's still an ensign, and
well, black don't crack, so who knows? Who knows how old?
There we go. I thought it was a fun episode. I'm happy that they've reconciled. I'm the Doopler part of it was kind of over the top, and
it was silly, but I liked it.
It was silly. Yeah, it was silly.
I like the first scene where he drops the fork and everyone's like, uh-oh.
And then Ransom throws his fork to save the day. So yeah, it was, I think I'm more excited. I'm hopeful and excited for the rest of this season to see what happens now that we've sort of gotten the final reset, I hope, of this universe, and we can get into some craziness with Borg and crystalline entities and who knows what else. That's pretty much all I have on an embarrassment of Dooplers. Anything else for you?
I don't think so. No, it was a good character episode. It was a good. We got some great scenes between characters, some good action. I mean, it was silly, but I liked it. Yeah.
I have to say that the ending scene of the Cerritos crew in the dive bar felt great. It felt appropriate and the right place for them all, just being together. So
yeah, I like that.
And the fact that Carol talked to her daughter and to Boimler at the same time.
Yeah.
Was surprising.
They were hanging out. So
they were hanging out at a dive bar, and I did really like the etching of Boimler and Mariner and Boimler next to Kirk and Spock. I think that, and I love that. I love the discussion that ensued on the internet because everyone was trying to figure out when Kirk and Spock could have been there.
I didn't think that hard about it. I was just like,
I didn't either. I was like, sure, I'm sure that they probably did, although I would imagine that they ended up at the bar much later because Kirk is a schmoozer and would be. The other thing too, this is in my headcanon, but I also think that the Captain's Club back in Kirk's day was a little bit more tighter knit, sort of like even back in Enterprise's day, when the Captain's Club of Archer and Hernandez and the guy that was supposed to be the captain of the Enterprise but eventually lost it. Like, I think that there's this more like clubby feel to being a captain back then, but
I can see that.
But whatever, Kirk and Spock were there, great.
Yeah. That was great. Yeah, it's good. I enjoyed it.
Well, there we go.
Cool. All right.
Let's see.
What are you gonna say?
I was forgetting that I'm the lead on this episode. I was waiting for you to do your little piece, but
I was waiting for you to talk about a sponsor.
Well, yeah, there we go. Like, usually you introduce me to talk about the sponsor.
All right, well, Mike,
but no, it's been done now. Now we're here. We want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Fansets for sponsoring the Trek Geeks Podcast Network and Deep Space Pride. I know that a lot of people have been waiting for their Discovery Season 3 communicator badges, and Lou and the team posted today that they are getting those out. The last of the shipments are going out possibly one of the most popular pins that they have ever sold. I don't know, but
oh, really? Good for them.
Apparently a lot of people were waiting for those. So, but they have a lot of great pins coming out this fall, including and announced, and I think I mentioned it last week. There is a Star Trek II Delta coming out in the near future. That'll be definitely a hot item, and so pay attention to Fansets social media for when that's coming out, because if you want that, you'll want to get it quick because it will sell out. But if you go to fansets.com and put a bunch of pins into your cart, if it's over $30 in the US, you're going to get free shipping. And then use the code DSPRIDE, all caps, at the end of your order. You will get 10% off your order. And we want to give a huge shout out to John and Lou and the team at Fansets for supporting Deep Space Pride and the Trek Geeks Podcast Network.
Thanks, Fansets. Yay.
All right, let's wrap this up before I lose my voice. But
this is a long one. We had a lot to talk about.
We did have a lot to talk about. Johnson, how can our amazing listeners get in touch with us?
Yeah, well, you can all reach us on email or on social media. You can email us at deepspacepride@gmail.com, or you can reach us on Twitter and Instagram at deepspacepride, and we will do our best to respond to you if you reach out.
There we go. Well, here we go. Episode 49 in the can, our 1 year anniversary. And next week is episode 50.
Yeah, another milestone.
Well, another milestone. So thanks everyone for listening us two gay geeks blather on for well over an hour about
that's a lot.
About Star Trek. It's a great time to be a Star Trek fan. I mean, we've never had this much Star Trek to talk about ever.
It's a lot of Star Trek.
And we didn't even really talk about the books or anything else that's happening. But quick note about the books. Star Trek Coda comes out the end of this month. It's part 1 of 3 books that will wrap up the literary universe and bring it in alignment with the current TV universe. So, and I also just saw a quick thing also that there are multiple Star Trek films going on at Paramount being worked on.
I mean, aren't some of them kind of in limbo? I mean, the only one that I feel is really active right now is the one that's being directed by the guy who did WandaVision. Yeah,
but I just saw a news article that said there are multiple. So I don't know what that means, but all that is to say, it's a great time to be a Star Trek fan. Everyone should be able to find something that they love to watch.
It's a lot of Star Trek.
It's a lot of Star Trek, and so we are super happy to be part of the people that you listen to talk about this. So thanks for listening to us for the last year, and here's to many more. We'll see you.
Just kidding. Many more years. Yay.
All right. Well, thanks everyone, and we'll see you again next week.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Deep Space Pride is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network at trekgeeks.com, or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
Coconut.